With the first pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Zion Williamson from Duke.
Up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. Right back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Mamba out.
All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Shot Clock Podcast. Today we got on Austin Taylor from Barstool Sports, a.k.a. Mantis. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the studio we got going. I mean, it's a lot different from the normal thing. You know, we got the Michael Jordan pictures no longer behind us. But, I mean, now we've got a new logo and everything. We've got logos right there, logos right there. It's insane how much technology can do. But I hope you guys enjoy this new set we've got going. It's crazy for me. It's a big opportunity for me to be able to do all this. But, I mean, without further ado, we got Mantis from Barstool Sports, Austin Taylor. Man, how's it going? What have you been up to lately?
I'm doing all right. Just finished up a little, we did a little lower body today, a little workout. But, you know, the arms, every day is arm day if you ask me. I thought lighting so bad. I just messed it up. I'm getting swole. That's the point.
Yeah, one thing I noticed was you kind of you made a little Instagram post about my bad, Cam Newton. You kind of impersonated what he did on a post, and so I mean, with this post, what do you think goes behind him, man? I mean, it's kind of funny.
I'm glad you saw that. I've been noticing. Well, I know obviously Cam Newton signed with the Patriots is huge, so there's been a lot of news about that, and I don't think many people realize that like he's been doing those workout videos like once or twice a week, but like so it's just so Cam Newton. It's like some stupid analogies, like just acting in front of the camera. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's freaking like a beast, but like everything says like, what are you saying, bro? So like I thought the one he did, I made a parody. It was just hilarious. Well, his video was hilarious. And I was like, all right, I gotta redo this. Because after a workout, I'm like, I put my own twist to it with Tinder girls. I started with those, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though with you impersonating him. But have you ever been a fan of Cam Newton himself? Because I mean, recently he signed with the Patriots. Have you been a fan of the Patriots or Cam Newton, or are you just like almost everyone from Indiana, where you kind of bash the Patriots?
Well, definitely be from Indiana. I am not a Patriots fan at all, and I hate them. And hate is a strong word, but that'll just always be it. But Cam Newton, I mean, he's never a player that I just like never like loved or never hated. It's just like, it's Cam Newton. Like, it's easy to watch him on Sundays, and I think his press conferences and his outfits are insane. But I mean, it's still like very very fun to watch.
Yeah, so I mean, even though football's a little off of basketball, where do you think this Cam Newton signing is going to go within the next few years?
He's got a 1-year contract, right?
Yeah, 1 year.
Hey, he's getting underpaid too. Like what, $500,000?
I think.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good contract, but I mean, with him being out of work for how long has he been out of work? Like a year or so, right?
I think he didn't play last year at all. I think he's been out for a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, with him being out of work that long, you got to think it's like they're probably like trying not to die, especially with injury issues. But he is underpaid a lot. I don't know. But you're a blogger for Barstool, so you definitely have input on that yourself. So a little bit about Barstool itself. Because one of the main things I always think when I think of Barstool is you watch Stoolstein's, you watch the radio shows, you watch Part of My Take, you watch everything like that. It's kind of like, what's life at Barstool like, working day to day and everything?
It's a very interesting job. You know, it's a very unique sports media company. And that's the thing about the job is like every day is different. You know, one day you could be just blogging about something seen on the internet. Then one day you could be making a video. Then one day you could be like have like a hilarious bit on radio. So it's never like really every day is different. Although for some people it could be the same. You know, some people in the company have like their own podcast and they they got their niche, so they know like what the be regularly scheduling their post. But it's a very interesting lifestyle. I really never thought I'd be doing this. I thought I would be working behind the scenes for a sports team. I used to be a ball boy for the Colts. I was banking on that in my life actually, and then I started putting some effort to being funny on camera, and then now it's now my hobby and job is to make people laugh and try and smile and forget about the terrible things that are going on right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the ball boy part. In your Instagram bio, it says NFL Hall of Fame ball boy. So, a little bit about that. What gave you? Who gave you that title? Was it a nickname given or what?
So when I was at IUPUI, I was doing exercise science. I wanted to be like an athletic trainer, and I was doing terrible. I got a D in anatomy. I was not. I was doing good in anatomy. Or sorry, I was doing good in an intro to exercise science class. But like when it came to anatomy, man, I got like D's and F's on my test. So there was a newsletter for jobs around the city of Indianapolis, and there was an offer to be a volunteer to help out with the Colts on the Saturday practices, the Sunday game days, and so through that newsletter was the equipment manager's email, who was Sean Sullivan. So I shot him an email because I had experience of being a like water boy manager for high school and junior high. So I applied through the email. I got an interview with Mr. Sullivan, and then I got the job from there. So then I would volunteer on the weekends from 2015 to 2018. I was just helping out with the practice on Saturdays, and then working the sidelines on game days, setting up the equipment, the locker rooms, the coaching staff locker rooms, warming up players, and it was like the funnest thing. I don't know if funnest is the word, but it was the most fun thing that I've done like in sports wise. And I say that I don't consider Barstool Sports a sports job. Just Barstool with a media entertainment job, like sports job. The Colts is amazing.
Yeah. So, what kind of? Because I mean, everybody talks about like, hey, I did this job and it kind of gave me this experience. What kind of experience, or what kind of like lesson did that build up for like future in your life that kind of would help you with maybe Barstool or anything else?
A really good question. I think I think the experience of being a ball boy taught me attention to details. I think both like for instance, for like being a ball boy, you gotta know like a player, the coach's shoe size, like on the spot. You gotta know the type of shoe, the type of equipment they wear. You gotta know exactly like when if you're running a practice, you gotta be on like spot with like if we're doing a walkthrough, you gotta have like the ball ready on like the left hash, right hash, middle for each play. Keep going. And I say for what that kind of brought to me throughout my video career, if you will, is like the smallest. I edit my videos mostly, but the smallest things that I would just like the smallest cuts, the smallest like little effects. Like I pinpoint like every dot to make sure like the video is precise and like my vision's being brought, and there's no like half butting. I can't remember say the ASS, can I? Half butt my work.
But yeah, you brought up kind of like your own. It's when you watch your videos, you notice it's like your own editing style. And what kind of got you into that video making portion? Was there anything that went on before wanting to do that stuff that kind of like really sparked it up in your mind?
Yeah, when I started doing videos, it was my sophomore year at IUPUI when I was an intern for Pat McAfee, and I had one of our interns. He would shoot and edit my videos. We would do like only like two or three, but after that, when I went solo, it's pretty much I had either pay someone to do it or just like go on YouTube and learn how to do it. And it got to the point where like my friend from IUPUI was very busy, so I was like, okay, I have no patience. I'm trying to learn myself, so I bought my own camera, went on YouTube, learned how to do it. And now I either have my roommate or just friends from my UPUI just like, I'll be like, hey, can you hold this camera for me for 2 hours? I'll buy you lunch, whatever. And then they hold it. I'll go home and edit it. And then I really like that technique because my friends are cool about it. They respected like my work ethic and my vision. And then I'd like pay like hundreds of dollars to like for work.
Yeah, you brought up interning for Pat McAfee. I remember hearing that from Mikey, which is a connection you and I both share. But kind of interning for Pat McAfee, was that your first time kind of doing a job like that?
Yeah, it was. It really was. I can't say in high school I ever like went out of my time to like make videos like that. You know, I might do it like once, like a random video, making fun of like my teammate during on the Fishers basketball team, but like it was never anything serious. I think with when well, I knew Pat from being a ball boy for the Colts. So when he retired from Barstool, I shot him a message to be like, "Hey, I'd love to be an intern." I know what I was getting into, but then he gave me a chance to interview. Then I got that, and then I started trying to figure out like how can I get into this whole content world, if you will. And then I think if it wasn't for that internship, I would still just be banking on being a equipment manager for a sports team.
Yeah, you were there for the kind of like the beginning of Pat McAfee's podcast, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was right in the beginning.
yeah. So I remember like him starting. It was kind of it was a rough start, but he always had that good media personality. He was always came off as like he knew how to perform in front of the camera, how to perform in front of the mic, and everything. So what kind of being there for the beginning was like for you?
It was interesting because Pat's just like ending. I hope I'm right. It's 8th or 9th year in the NFL. He's a transition from being a punter to he's always been an entertainer. He's always like to do stand up, and he was hilarious. I mean, he is hilarious on Twitter. But seeing him and his friends from Pittsburgh that all kind of just quit their jobs to work for Pat or work with Pat, and then figure out how they're gonna start the podcast, and then that would eventually turn into a radio show. It was quite interesting because they started out like doing like their sessions in like a house or like a random there's a place called Morty's Comedy Club. They record there, and then here they are like getting advertisers and sponsors at their own little office off Meridian Street, or not Meridian's. I think it's near Meridian Street downtown. But it's been very interesting to see how much they've blown up and how much they've figured out their company, and now they've got the little sponsorship with FanDuel. I don't know if you saw that today.
Do you because I mean that's got to be a kind of a cool job to have, being able to like be behind the scenes for such a popular podcast like that. So do you ever kind of wish like that you were still able to relive that moment, or is that kind of one thing you're like, let me take that and build from it, and let me just kind of leave it there, but work on what I'm going to do in the future off of that idea?
I'm very thankful for I'm very thankful for the path that's been given to me, and like everything, all the dominoes that have fallen in line. But I always look back to like sometimes I look back to like like which video did well, like what did people like really like about my humor and such. I try to reflect off of that and try and go back to those days. And sometimes like I look at what are people enjoying now, and it's like you gotta like try and please everybody, but you gotta remember your roots, where you came from. So it's always like my mind's like always tangled at this point. Plus, I'm sure everyone's losing their minds now with all this crap we're going through.
Is it whenever you're looking at how you got to Barstool, because we mentioned you were with Pat McAfee for a while, so how did that kind of help did that help you at all with getting a position at Barstool?
Yeah, for sure. With Pat, I made a few videos for him as an intern. Then after that, when the internship ended, I started doing my own videos at IUPUI as a junior, and then I started kind of growing a fan base through IUPUI and all the Jaguars, all the students, and and then once Barstool Idol came around, people were sending me DMs like, "Hey, you should give this a shot." And then I was hesitant at first, but then I did apply for Barstool Idol, and I believe like having like being like a Heartland intern, and then having different sense of humor combined put me in a good spot. And then I would eventually win the competition at Barstool Idol, where Marty Mush and I in Ohio State, we all three won and beat like there's 5,000 submissions, like 36 people total in the New York office auditioning. So we beat all those people, and we got full-time jobs. And I'll say definitely like just interning for Pat, and then finding my humor at IUPUI, all that combined just helped me get to where I am.
Yo, one of your I was watching you earlier again, because I watched you a few weeks back whenever I started getting big into stool scenes, which but one of your most popular things on YouTube was the Ref Daddy character that you did. So, what was some of your favorite moments from that? Because I have a couple myself, but what was yours?
I really liked repping the wheelchair basketball team. That's probably my favorite. 'Cause they were all cool as heck, and they all had they had great humor too. So it wasn't I had to like restrict from saying anything that I would find like cruel or too much. Like they threw it back at me, so it was a really good time, and I really enjoyed that. I always liked the first Ref Daddy. I think kind of looking back at videos, kind of like cringy. Like I looked at myself in the like double XL ref shirt from the Ref Daddy one. I was like, I really look like that. I was that floppy. But
Yeah, I remember you brought up the cringe kind of part of it. I thought one of the funniest moments that kind of was like, that kind of made you cringe was whenever you called the travel at the pickup game at the park, because it was like all the reactions, it just kind of like brought me to like, oh man, this is going to go bad south. But
yeah, they're like, so
yeah, I thought the funniest one was the wheelchair one. Whenever you first started calling the game and you called a travel at him, I thought that was the funniest one myself.
they did travel. It was like three spins. Like they weren't dribbling.
What I thought was funny about it though was like how they all looked back at you. They're like, "Can he even do that?" I thought that was so funny. But
Hey man, I don't make the rules. I call them.
So is that one of you? Because I know you don't do Ref Daddy for Barstool, but is that one of the things that you could kind of? Because I know Dave does his pizza reviews. So is that one of the things you kind of wish that you could bring into Barstool? Be like, hey, let's bring in Ref Daddy. Let's bring him back.
I did a few Louisiana last year, but I don't know. There's some. It's interesting. I never really fell in love with the character, so I stopped doing it. It's a shame because people would seem to enjoy it. I always think to myself I can do more of it, but I don't know. There's just something about it that I wasn't really passionate about, and I feel bad. It's kind of a terrible excuse, but I know like Eric Andre. You know Eric Andre?
Yeah. I know Eric Andre.
I know. I'm sure he's like got so many characters he's done. I'm sure he's like hated doing them, but they're so hilarious. So I just he pushed through it, and I haven't got that mentality yet. So if I can get that and bring that back, that'd be great. But for now, it's like I just kind of see some other stuff that I liked. I was very passionate about this little series called Bent, where I play a four-letter game of basketball against people, but that's been a struggle too. So I'm still trying to figure out like what's going to be this series that will like people like really enjoy and that can help make money for the company.
Now, how many years have you been in Barstool for?
It will be 2 years in August.
2 years in
Coming up.
August?
Shit.
Okay, so that's a little shorter than what I thought. I assumed it was like 2 or 3 years maybe. But
Yeah.
originally when you kind of like first made that transition to Barstool, or no, you were moving to the new Barstool location, and you had to stay the night in Barstool for a couple of nights, and you vlogged that on Stool Scenes. So kind of that experience was, you got to assume some of it was scripted with some of your encounters you have in it, but kind of that experience staying the night over there, what was that like?
That's funny. So the thing about Stool Scenes, like I'm actually kind of glad I said that. Nothing's scripted. Like everything that happens, it happens. Like there's really like, no holds barred, and there's no like just like planning out. It's like that's the beauty of like the whole like authentic um stuff that you see from Barstool. But like me spending the night, I didn't tell anyone. Well, I told like one video editor, but I didn't tell anyone that I was gonna like sleep there for a week because I just want to see like how like I really want to see people like react to like how they feel about it. So I feel like if I told them they'd be like concerned and all that crap. But
That's kind of wild to think how well you can adapt to that situation. Because like without telling him, like with how well you kind of like played off encounters and brought a comedical feeling to it, that's kind of interesting how you were able to adapt to that, which not many people can do that. So has that been something you kind of worked on over time, or is that kind of a natural talent?
I think I've always stared at and looked at like what's this creature, what's that animal, and I've always I've always thought it was hilarious. So like I kind of developed that little sense of humor. So when I go around and I like kind of like if I meet someone new and I know they kind of feel awkward, so I try to make them feel a little more awkward, but then I play it cool at the end. But I think having that like what is he gonna say, what is he gonna do next kind of feel, then it was easier just to like just walk around the office and like leave my towels and retainers on my desk and just like play it off like what I'm just living here like. They're like, "What, you living here?" Like, yeah. That's probably that is nothing.
So some other of your wild experience, because that's not even one of your wild experiences at Barstool was staying the night there. But
You asked me about.
you've had some wild ones. One we can't go into depth with was the date that Barstool brought in for you with an adult film star, which that was one of the funniest ones because everybody around the office. But what do you remember their reactions being about that?
Well, the date. I tell everyone this. It was an unintentional date. It was I matched with her on Bumble. I told her I picked her up from Penn Station, and we walked around. I said, "Hey, do you know where I work?" Or no, I say it like that. That's so. I was like, "Where do you work?" Blah blah blah. She's a painter, artist. Okay, cool, no salary, whatever. And then she's like, "Where do you work?" I'm like, "Oh, the blogging company called Barstool." I said, "Oh, I've heard of it." And then I thought about that, and I was like, "Hey, since I picked you up, the office like 2 blocks away. Since you're kind of fairly new to it, do you want to see what it looks like?" "Yeah, sure, okay, cool, whatever." Then I was showing her around, and like, people were like, "Just kind of a date over here?" And I was like, "Oh, just showing this lady around." And I was like, "All right, show you around. You want to go out to eat, drink, whatever?" And then she's like, "Well, yeah, we got a New Amsterdam bar right here. Why don't we just drink for free?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure." Then we had a drink there, and then that's when I had to turn into a date during a live stream. And I know Dave wasn't happy about it. Erica
Yeah,
wasn't either.
yeah, I
But
remember on the radio, because I remember seeing that one through Stool Scenes as well. On the radio later, Dave like kind of like was ripping into you, and he threatened to like take
yeah,
away your card or something like that.
oh
But
yeah,
what
my
is
card, my
Dave?
card's still on the back of my phone right now.
Is Dave kind of like a hard guy to deal with? Because I mean, whenever he comes on the radio shows and kind of like beefs into people, you could tell it's a lot of just like being the boss type thing. Kind of like you have to give that kind of notice to people. But what's kind of your experience with Dave like?
I haven't really talked to Dave that much. If Dave and I talk, it's about like our yearly reviews of like our contract. It's what you see on radio. It's like kind of like a walk by, "Hey Dave," but we don't really have any conversations. But the beauty of it is like Dave and Erica are truly like the two best bosses I've ever had. They let us be very creative and free, and let us be our own. Um, we're kind of like our own bosses. To kind of go in, we figure out we want vlog, video, create, and then they let it happen. Of course, God, yeah, approved. But I mean, Dave and Eric are always doing their thing, so it's not like I sit down and have a conversation. But they're very, very, very genuine and respectful, and there's a lot of great character that many people don't see behind the camera, and they just assume like what you see on camera that that's how they actually are. But I mean, Dave's a man of the people. Erica's the greatest CEO, and I wouldn't want to have anyone else to work under those two.
So I mean, there's a lot of talent at Barstool. I mean, you've got guys like Big Cat and PFT. I mean, they're one of the two biggest talents at Barstool. But I mean,
Hmm.
there's so many more talents that are like undiscovered by the public. So kind of, I mean, even with you being one of them, I mean, you're not as well known by the public, but you've got a name out there. So kind of building your public appearance out. What's that kind of like trying to stand out there?
It's a challenge. Everyone's on the same team, but everyone wants to be the best player on the team. I'm still learning from my coworkers. I'm still learning from like the audience of Barstool, like what works and what doesn't. Learning how I can like collaborate my mind with another coworker's mind and how we can all get better. But I mean, for the most part, I get along with everybody. Hopefully everyone says they get along with me too. But I really like the environment, and I like how at the end of the day, our company's trying to be better than everyone else's company, and just um, be the number one media company in the country or world, really world.
Yeah, you brought up number one media company in the world. I mean, what do they have, like 10 million or 15 million followers on Instagram or something like that? I mean, it's insane the reach that company's had from its start. So what kind of motivation does that bring up to you? How well the company was brought up over time? I mean, even with it being sold for like what, it was like $40 million or something a while back.
There was a partnership. Yeah, it was a partnership with it was $450 million. We had $450 million partnership. I'm losing my mind from this workout. Banana trying to get my potassium back in me. Yeah, we had a partnership for $450 million. I can't believe my brain's dead right now. How do I not know the name of the gambling company? Penn National Gambling. Give me a second. $450 million partnership with Penn National Gambling, and that was, I believe, right before the stock market shot down. So that must have been February. So that was right around the time of the Super Bowl. But that was like our biggest investment in a while. And I know I did an investment with the Turner Group in 2016. It was way before I was there. But it's been very interesting to see how I started learning Barstool because of Pat McAfee, and I'm still trying to learn it more and more about the history. And it's very cool to meet people who really know Barstool and then those who don't know, so we can always have different conversations.
Yeah, so I kind of want to bring up. I mean, we talked a lot of Barstool, but one of the things I also want to talk about is Barstool and basketball. So with basketball, how has Barstool kind of helped you in the basketball world, even NBA and whatever?
That's a good question. I've always loved basketball. Basketball's always been my favorite game to play. I say football's still my favorite to watch, but do you know Coley Mick and Trell Withers?
Yeah, I've heard of Trey Rivers. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, like they have a podcast called Mixtape, and they're like the basketball gurus, along with Reeds and Greeny. They blog about basketball all the time. But even I say all those bloggers, all those people have done have a great coverage and great little twist of how they cover NBA, college basketball, whatever it may be, and even like live streaming like reactions to our college basketball March Madness games and even NBA bets. I think it's probably a lot more fun to watch basketball. You know, NBA can be a boring season, especially with NFL still on, college football still on. No one wants to watch the NBA until like NFL's over, really. But having those people around and like keep you up to date and have some like funny jokes and funny like memes keeps you more entertained in the basketball.
Yeah, I noticed the other day, which you and I talked about over text briefly today, was Terrence Ross, Orlando Magic player. He follows you, you follow him, and you brought up to me that you guys play COD together. So kind of playing COD with NBA players, and that's not something everybody expects from starting out, from being a kid. That's someone's probably dream. So what's that kind of like, being able to live a dream like that?
Yeah, well, usually I have wet dreams, but for a dream like this, I'll tell you what, Terrence started following me after I made this at Life of a Student Athlete video, I believe last year, and like he followed me on Instagram after that. I think I put it up in Barstool, they reposted it, and then on their main page, and then Terrence liked it, followed me. I was like, wait, is this real? And I double checked like Terrence Ross. Like, oh my god, like I'd always draft this guy during like, NBA 2K14 and 15 online leagues. So then, yeah, that was really cool. Then I remember I DM'd him like, hey man, like this is really cool. Thanks for following me. Hope I made you laugh, whatever. He didn't respond. I was like, all right, I gotta keep going. But he would like comment on my videos and such for like I don't know, once every other month. But he wouldn't like respond to a DM. So it's interesting. He liked my stuff, whatever. But not too long ago, he's like, who wants to play Warzone? And on his Twitch show, so I commented like, "You get a third?" Like every dude, and then he was like, "Yo, who's that? Why does Yellow Mantis sound so familiar?" Oh shoot, it's a guy from Barstool. Yeah. So then he like DM'd me. We started playing, had a good time, and now we're kind of developing a relationship. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed this interview enough, you ought to hook us up with them. We're always looking to kind of expand that network. But we only have a short time before we close here. But Mantis, Austin Taylor, man, I wanna thank you for coming on. It's a great experience to be able to talk to guys like you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on. I hope one day that I can have a little desk and green screen like you. That's it. Soon.
All right, man. We'll see you later. That's all for the Shot Clock podcast. And be sure to check us out on Instagram at the Shot Clock Pod, and we'll keep you guys updated from there. We'll see you guys next week on Friday.